Hello everyone, 76 Patriot here, and today I'm going to be analyzing whether or not I think Trump can win the state of Pennsylvania in this upcoming election. So I'm going to be using some metrics to do that, like data, polling, trends, just stuff like that. So without further ado, let's just dive in and see the results first to kind of set the stage for this video. For the past two election cycles that President Trump was on the ballot. So in 2016, Trump won it in a squeaker by 0.7. And predominantly he did that because he's able to mobilize en masse the forgotten men and women of America, the white working class voters. 2020, very similar story. He was able to outperform the polls significantly with those same demographics, except narrowly falling short to Biden, mainly due to, and we can just open this up here, increased turnout in SEPA, southeastern Pennsylvania, and decreased turnout in the rurals. And we can just compare that with, the results from 2 years or 4 years before. Particularly you can see Chester, 9, 21. You look at these margins, look at that, balloons, 17, 26. That is where a lot of the population in the state is. But before I sound, like I'm dooming, because I'm not at all, this comes to the good part. Let's come to the first indicator why I think Trump is the favorite as of right now in the state. If we look at the real clear average for polling, as of today, Trump is leading by 2.3. That is huge because if we look back on this day in history, and even show it right there, so that's nice, Biden was up by 4. Clinton was also up by 4, 8 years ago. So this is insane. Now, sure, we have months to go till the general election. Of course, things could change, theoretically. But to have Trump up, and not just by pocket change, he's not up by 0.1, he's up by a healthy margin in a swing state at this point in time. And this is a state where polls always generally overestimate Democrats in presidential years. So could Trump even win by more if you factor in that overestimation of bias? Could he win by 4 or 5? I'm not ruling it out. We'll see. Because Trump is really surging across the nation right now in popularity. But this is my first kind of indicator of why I think could be favorable for us, for Republicans in Trump. My second indicator is primaries. And I hate using Wikipedia because it's the least credible source on the planet. However, I do appreciate their simplistic breakdowns, which are accurate here. It's just the totals of votes. So if you look in 2020, in the Republican primary, we can see there was over 1,100,000 votes. Look in 2024, there's a decrease of about 200,000. Not quite. Look at the Democratic primary, huge. Well, 16,600,000. Now look at this. Look at that drop-off. Sure, there's more votes slightly than the Republicans, but for that much, 500,000 almost votes, poof, like that. So that shows, and sure, primary, we all know primary data is not an indicator of the general per se, in and of itself, but combining it with polling and this third thing that I'm about to show you, I think it's a foreboding sign for Democrats that they should be running a bit scared. They do not have this in the bag at all, like some of them may be saying. So here's the third metric that I think should be scary for Dems and really good for us Republicans. So this is about a month old, but the data contained here is pretty salient. It's pretty relevant. So Pennsylvania has lost to Democrats since 2008. And we can actually see this here in this handy little chart. 2020, we could do 2016, but for the sake of time, let's just do 2020. We can see there was over a 10-point gap between individuals of, registered parties. So Dems, 47%, Reps, 38, the electorate. So now fast forward to 2024, there is a 4-point gap. It is closing, and they even admit this later on in this article. Republicans are closing in on the Dem edge, the massive Democratic edge. I mean, look at that. 12 points back in 2008. that is great sign for Republicans. And it's not like it all is, gone to these third party independents. They've only gained 14.2 under the other category. 50, it's pocket change, really. I mean, it's not like they've been siphoning the votes. So there is legitimate trends toward Republicans in the state of PA. And they even admit, sure, of course, the liberals are not going to say, I'm not sure it spells doom, but they admit this is not good for Democrats. So this is, and sure there could be ancestral Dems. One other thing to note they vote Republican consistently, but they're just getting around to changing it, officially now. Sure, there's some of those people, but you cannot deny that there are very favorable trends toward Republicans in the state of Pennsylvania. So we have the polling, we have some of the primary data. These are just indicators. You can't take each of these things on their own and say this is why Trump's going to win. But when it's all combined, you really would have to be dumb to completely ignore it, as many Democrats are doing. So that's some of it. Now we're just going to go back to basically analyzing where's the math for Trump to win? How would one win the state as a Republican? And to do that, let's actually I love this website. This is a fun tool. So let's just play around for a minute and just really briefly see what would it take for Trump to win the state. We can see it's, just over a point, very, very close race. So let's say Philadelphia, actually wait, it doesn't look like I cleared this from the last time I used this. There we go. So it looks like Philadelphia, let's say Trump is winning over minorities, and let's just say Democratic turnout is dropped. They're not enthused about Biden. That's another factor, particularly with a lot of these uncommitted kind of protest votes in a lot of these states. Let's say that Trump does, I don't want to be too liberal, no pun intended, when it comes to margins here, but let's say Trump does 3 points better. Well, yeah, 3 points better in Philly. Let's say that's not Montgomery, Delaware. Say he does 3 points better, actually. Can't get that to go. There we go. Let's whatever. It's 5. I can't get it to go. I'm not going to take all your time. Chester's a big one. I could see Trump going, R plus 7, because that was massive. So that would be, this is heavy lifting. And I am just kind of throwing numbers out here. This is not strategic. I don't have a ton of time for that in this video. We're just playing around to see what would it take, theoretically, for Trump to win. So these are the states, even Allegheny. Let's say this is a state with county with a lot of white working class voters in Pittsburgh. I could easily see this, Trump gaining here by like 7. So we haven't increased any rurals. We've just siphoned away Democratic voters. And Erie is the other one. A lot of people, even libs, are forecasting Trump to win Erie. So let's say that he does. I'm not sure why there we go. See, it's close. But the math is tricky in Pennsylvania. Let's say, you really need some of these rurals to go in, stronger. Let's say these rurals are, shift to the right. Some of these sizable counties. Monroe, that's another one I could see shifting to the right substantially. Okay, we're closing in. So let's just, for the sake of time, let's just say Trump does, I don't see this happening necessarily, but let's say Trump does quite a bit better. There we go. So he would have won in that scenario due to winning Erie County, increasing margins in some of these kind of exurban rural counties, and keeping Democratic margins to a minimum in SEPA, southeastern Pennsylvania. That's basically should be his strategy to win. And that's how, honestly, Pennsylvania is the Keystone State. So I really think it is the tipping point state in the 2024 election. I think it all hinges on this state. Sure, could Trump win without it? You look at the map. Could he get the right combination? He could win. Heck, Trump could win the presidency with just Georgia and Pennsylvania if he keeps, I believe if my math is right, and he keeps everything he won in 2020. He doesn't need Pennsylvania to win, though. He could win a combination of the Sun Belt states and then Wisconsin or whatever. There are endless combinations, but I do think the road to 270 runs through the Keystone State. And I think Trump is I think he's in the driver's seat right now. I think that is undeniable. You look at trends, you look at kind of some of the metrics I've shown you, and I think he is in a good place right now. We don't want to get overconfident, but as a Republican conservative Trump supporter, I am not nervous. I'm not on the edge of my seat necessarily right now. So that's it for today's video. Thank you all guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for more content like this. Have a great day.